we have to shake this bubble out. They finally went so far in stimulus and reacting to COVID that they caused that 9% inflation spike suddenly. And that's what we saw. And that's when they had to say, uh-oh, we got to reverse and start tightening. What people don't realize, every time they do a major stimulus or a major tightening, you got to wait a year and a half, and I think now as much as 2 years, for that to impact. It takes a while for that to work in the economy. So we felt that stimulus that continued, the strongest in history for 14 years, into March of 2022, that's still been hitting up to recently, and we're going to see this tightening, 525 basis points, the most in over 40 years since the 80-81, which caused the deepest recession after the Great Depression back then. We're yet to see this. We're going to see that hit the most early to mid 2025 next year. So I'm just saying, look, this bubble, which is totally artificial. At least the first one was a natural one. You know, in 2025 to 29 was a natural bubble. There was no stimulus behind that, artificial stimulus per se. So this is new. This has never happened. Governments have never felt the power to just say, well, you know what? We're not going to take a depression after our great bubble and party. We're not going to take the hangover. We're just going to, what do you do if you want to cure a hangover? You drink more. And that's what they've been doing. And so this is not good policy, my point of view. And you know what? If this can go another 5 years, I may have to admit, you know what? Flooding the money with the economy with extra money forever might actually enhance the overall economy long term. But what we'll only see when we see this bubble burst, and again, this bubble's been going 14 years instead of most bubbles 5 to 6. It's been stretched higher, longer. So you'd have to expect a bigger crash than we got in 2008 to 9 when the baby boom wore off, in 2000 to 2002 when the first tech bubble, which is more similar, this is really the second tech bubble version, crashed, and the NASDAQ went down 78%. I think the Dow, the S&P went down something like 58%, okay? So that's where we're at. This thing has got to blow. It's showing signs of topping here. It's having a hard time, just barely making new highs. But we've got to see a crash of about 40% to say, oh, okay, finally the bubble's let off its steam. And once it gets that much momentum, I think it's hard to stop, and then we'll go from there. I'm just telling people, this is not the time to hold out for a little more gains. We've already gotten the longest bubble, the greatest gift. Everybody's house has gone up double or more what it should be worth. Everybody's stock portfolio has gone up double or triple what it should be worth because of all this stimulus. But if you have to pay the piper, which I say and history shows after bubbles, every major bubble has burst. And bubbles are not followed by recessions, they're followed by depressions. When you hear Great Depression or the Long Depression of 1873 to 96, those followed major bubbles. And the other one was the Great Depression of 1836 to 42. That followed a major bubble by then. So bubbles don't end well, and this is the largest and longest bubble. And it's hard for me to fully predict. I have my predictions. I think we're going to see the S&P go down 86% from the top, and the NASDAQ 92%, and a hero stock like NVIDIA, as good as it is, and it is a great company, go down 98% before this is over. That's just my best estimate from the past. But we have never seen governments sustain an totally artificial bubble for a decade and a half and see what happens after that. But I can tell you there has not been one bubble, and this is far larger and longer, one major bubble in history that has not ended badly, period.